benefactor, and I are on the mountain of professional wrestling. And at Marquette Mania 3, it's going to be a slobber knocker. So folks, buy your tickets, because this is the last time you will see Sampson as your heavyweight champion.
Fucking idiots. You know, Tully, I'm too busy to be sitting around in some dungeon shirtless, waiting on my boy Onyx to show up, only for the benefactor to come grab me by my face and put me in line. I've got things to do. I've got things I'm getting ready for. And if you're just now starting to take this serious, if you're just now thinking about getting ready, brother, you're a day late and a dollar short. And let me make one thing clear, Tully. I'm not on the ladder of UPW. I'm sitting on the top. And I stand up next to mountains, and I cut them down with the edge of my hand. May 17th, Marquette Mania 3, Tully. Make sure you dig deep into that bag of gimmicks. Bring that dog collar, because I'm putting you on a leash.
All right. Hello, everybody. What a message we just got from Sampson, Tully, and Onyx for his promo for Marquette Mania 3 this coming Saturday, May 17th. But my guest tonight, he is a current pro wrestler and trainer. He is currently with UPW. He's wrestled for CWE, WLW, FUW, SCW, and BW, and much more. He is the current UPW heavyweight champion. He is no other than the War Machine, Sampson. So we will get him on here, and then we will start on with the interview.
What's up, Blake?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Man, just sitting here with what everybody's coming after.
That's right. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking your time to do this.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
All right. So is there? Yeah, that's right. 4 more days, I think. Right? Yeah. So really close for until your championship match against Tully. So in the main event. All right. So is there anything else you'd like to say before we start?
No, Blake, just thanks for having me on. You know, there's been a lot of requests, a lot of different media outlets trying to reach out to talk about this main event coming up, talk about this big match at Marquette Mania 3. So I'm happy to be on here sharing it with you. I always appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So the first question I'll ask you is, when did you start doing wrestling? What made you want to get into it?
Well, I started amateur wrestling in 2nd grade. And the reason I got into amateur wrestling was because I watched professional wrestling. And when the sign-up sheets came home, nobody told me what I was signing up for. They didn't tell me that when I got there was going to be no ring, no colorful characters, nobody getting body slammed or going off the top rope. So I was kind of tricked into it. Fell in love with that sport as it was. Spent a good portion of my life doing that. But I always tell everybody that all the roads I was ever on led me to professional wrestling. Or professional wrestling was always the end game for me, whether it was the amateur wrestling or college football, or even when I moved to Indianapolis and started training MMA and was fighting in cages, I was always looking for a pro wrestling school. It took me a long time to find one, and it wasn't until, you know, 2019, 2020, when the whole world was closed down, that I was able to find a place that would let me come train, you know, a little bit over 3 hours away from where I live. So I would drive down there once a week and do that.
Wow. Dedication right there. Definitely. Who did you specifically get trained by? Who were some of like the names?
Oh, TW3 and Jay De Niro, or Jay Cash, down in Green Bay. Those guys have taught me more than probably anybody else. You know, I've also learned from every veteran I've ever worked with. That's one of, I think, um, my biggest keys to learning this business, and being able to progress as fast as I have, is just always keeping my mouth shut and my ears open, and always being open to any advice, and knowing that there's usually a lot of guys in the room smarter than me, so I'm just going to listen to what they have to say, and try to be a sponge and soak it all up.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of veterans. You've been in the ring with like a lot of big namers in your
Yes.
early starting career, and you've been getting bigger names here and there. So that's awesome. Watching wrestling as a kid for you, who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Well, I mean, number one for me, el numero uno, Ichiban, whatever language you want to say, is Hulk Hogan. I mean, I was born in 1981. You know, Hulkamania came alive in 1982, 83, and it was going full force in 84, 85, man, and there was nobody bigger than Hulk Hogan. And say what you want about the man now. I mean, my opinions of him as a human are different than my opinions of him as a professional wrestler. But this sport, this business would be nowhere near where it is, in my opinion, today if it wasn't for him. So he's number one. Um, you know, he was the first one to grab that attention. You know, I remember the WrestleMania 2 main event with him and King Kong Bundy inside that blue steel cage. I remember WrestleMania 1. I was little for this stuff, and I remember it.
Yeah.
But then going down the line, you know, I was a big Bret Hart fan. I absolutely love Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, Kevin Nash, Diesel, anything those guys ever did, whether it was in the WWF or in the WCW, I was big fans of. And I gotta say, I always liked Big Vader. You know, watching a guy 400 plus pounds doing moonsaults and all the athletic stuff he did, and you know, it was always a ton of fun for me to watch as a kid, and is always super impressive.
Yeah. Yep, most definitely. And who are some of like your favorite wrestlers nowadays to watch?
Well, you know, right now I definitely tune in for anything Roman's doing. I'll definitely tune in for Cody. Um, I think the WWE is just doing great business in general. You know, some of the women are completely on fire right now, putting on some great matches. Tiffany Stratton, um,
Mm-hmm.
Lyra Valkyria, you know, the girl down in NXT, she's amazing, amazing. Stephanie Vicaire, she's pretty
Oh
awesome to
yeah.
watch. Um, but yeah, I like watching Roman. I like what Jacob Fatu's doing. Um, you know, anybody at the top of those cards right now, it's really, I'm tuning in for it for sure. They've got so much talent, they can't even put people on TV that would be top guys in other companies.
Most definitely agree. I mean, like you said, Roman Reigns. I mean, one of the biggest and top stars wrestlers in WWE today, with his longest reign as one of the longest reigns as the champion there. So I mean, Cody Rhodes too, with that reign that he had, was great and everything else.
And I love what John Cena's doing right now. I love his heel turn.
Oh yeah,
And I think my absolute favorite iteration of Dwayne Johnson is the Final Boss character. I mean, it's like he's the top of the food chain, which art imitates life, and I think that's a pretty cool gimmick when he comes out and does his Final Boss stuff.
agreed. Yeah. Who would you say has been the stiffest wrestler you've gone in the ring with in your career?
That's an easy one. That Supreme Brett Powers for sure, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Everything he was doing, he was going for it. So, there was no pulling back, nothing there at all.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
not the answer you were expecting, was it?
Yeah, I was just about to say that was unexpected right there.
The hardest chops I've ever taken, which totally sucked because he told me to no sell them, were from Khan. If you can go back and watch, we worked a match in Escanaba, and when he's chopping me, you can watch the water droplets, flying off my chest off my singlet, and I had to stand there and act like I didn't feel them. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Just holding the pain and the grunts and everything, and just be like,
Yep.
Yeah, this don't hurt.
Yep. Yeah.
When in reality, it does.
Oh yeah.
What do you consider to be a weakness and a strength of yours in wrestling?
Well, if I had any weaknesses, it would probably be some of my old arthritic joints or surgeries that I've had or been replaced. But I mean, I don't know if you notice, I've been putting in a lot of work lately, making sure all that stuff stays real strong. So come Marquette Mania, I've eliminated that. My strength, as far as professional wrestling goes, in the ring, I think my ability to wrestle. I think that I don't think there's anybody that could actually beat me if we were going straight up wrestling match. And I think my ability to connect with a crowd, my charisma, my overall size, my look. I think I have a lot of strengths as a pro wrestler and very few weaknesses. Even my ability on the microphone, I feel like, isn't too bad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because you're built great and you're really tall, so you have the looks and like the mic skills to just put it all there to be a wrestler too. So
Right, like if people that are watching this that have never seen me in person, I'm not one of these like 5'8" guys that looks like they have big muscles. I'm 6'6", 285 pounds. So there's some real power here.
yep. I didn't even realize you were that tall until now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Who was your first opponent in front of a crowd, and how did you feel going into that first match?
My first singles opponent was a pretty cool experience for me, and hopefully for him too, just because of how it all happened. So before I could tell you this, I have to tell you a story. And we gotta go back to 1994-ish. Okay, there's a building up, actually not too far from where you know what, Blake, if I can flip this screen camera around, I can show you. Oop, that's not what I want. Well, anyways, you can see this building up here, this square building.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Lakeview gym here in Negaunee, Michigan. and Mike Shaw ran a show there in like 90, I think it was 94, 95. That summer, Mike Shaw had trained my dad to be a professional wrestler. So my dad was on that show. It was his first show. His gimmick was the Youper. You know, he came out like in his deer hunting gear and a hunting knife and an apple or whatever. Um, but sitting front row that night would be the one day founders of UPW Pro Wrestling, Slick Rick and Peter B. Beautiful. And they were probably in 8th grade, maybe freshmen in high school. I think I was in like 6th grade. So we were both at this show. Now you fast forward, shoot, I don't even know how many years, but it was 2012. I got a message on Facebook asking if I was the Youper, because me and my dad share the same shoot name. And I was kind of blown away. Like nobody has ever asked me anything about that since that night, you know. So I explained to him, no, that was my dad, blah, 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 blah. Well, that was Peter B. Beautiful. So in 2012, me and Pete started chatting and had developed a relationship that, you know, always kind of wanting me to come try it out, wanting me to come get in a ring. I didn't really feel comfortable doing that until I had some formal training. And then it kind of like UPW, you know, kind of like it would come and go. It would be around, it would disappear, it would be around, disappear. And it was kind of in one of those periods where I hadn't heard or seen anything from it in a while. And I had some training in, and it was coming out of the pandemic. On Instagram, I saw their new UPW Instagram page, so I followed. I reached out, started chatting with Pete, told him I had been training, and next thing you know, I'm doing run-ins on the UPW shows and starting to play little roles. So to get back to your question, my first singles match was against Peter B. Beautiful. It was a cool moment for me, just knowing him and how I met him, and knowing that, you know, almost 30 years ago we were sitting at the same indie show watching the same
Wow.
guys.
Yeah.
You know, the same guy that we name our battle royal after, the
Yeah.
Mike Shaw Memorial. So it just, you know, like in life, there's a lot of cool full circle moments, and that was one of them. You know, another one was defending my title in Las Vegas. Because when I was your age, you're 16, Blake.
Yeah.
So when I was your age, I went out to Las Vegas and wrestled in the Danny Hodge Amateur Folk Style World Championships, and I won that tournament 2 years in a row at 15 and 16 years old. So to go back out to Vegas and defend my heavyweight championship as a professional, it was pretty neat.
Of course. Yeah. Wow. And the first story you told, I mean, that's incredible. Being at a show, not knowing who they were first, and then, you know, then now full circle back, and now you're working with them. It's crazy. So
Yeah, right. You know, the funny thing is, I think when Pete originally reached out, he said Rick still had the apple my dad brought out to the ring, and he signed it with a Sharpie. He had it in a bag in a freezer, saved.
wow.
Yeah, yep.
So you're a second generation wrestler.
I am. Yep. Technically.
Just learned that.
Yep. Yeah, my first experiences hanging around a wrestling ring and watching people take bumps and jumping in and taking some bumps and hitting ropes. I was about 10, 11 years old.
Nice. And now I see that your son is possibly going to be a third generation, because I see that he's been doing some run-ins here and there. And do you see him in the near future getting in the ring and actually taking in your footsteps?
I feel like both of my boys will. You know, Billy is the oldest. He's 14. That's when you've seen the reason he can get in there and do some spots is because he's 6'2" and he's 190 pounds. Chuck is 13. He's in 7th grade. He's creeping up on that 6 foot mark. So I would say, you know, in the next 3 to 4 years, you got to look out for the tag team of the fabulous Baker boys, because they're coming. They're coming down the pipe, and they're coming for the gold, and they're gonna be pretty entertaining, man. They soak it all in. Like I talk about that sponge thing, like my boys can talk to me about ring psychology in a way that they probably understand it even at a higher level than I do, and it's kind of impressive. It's like the conversations we can have about stuff like that. So I'm really excited for the day that they get to really get in there and mix it up a little bit.
Of course. Yeah,
And
that'll be something cool.
and none of them, before this year, before I started training them in my ring, they were always big into going outside and playing sports with their friends, but never got into the
Hmm.
organized stuff. And now it's like now they're into the organized sports. Now they're wrestling, which, my oldest just had an undefeated season in his first year. Now they're going to be playing football. They're doing track. So it's almost like an opposite how it was for me, how the thought of pro wrestling got me into other sports and wanting to do sports because I knew someday I wanted to be a good enough athlete. Now they're like, wow, this pro wrestling stuff is here. Here's all these other avenues for me to take advantage of while I'm young to get bigger, stronger, faster, and more athletic, and they're taking it. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, wow. And as a father and son duo, if there is any other father and son duo that you would want to go up against, who would that be?
Um, I mean, I could call one out current. I could call. I mean, we are we talking like legends? Like a dream match, or um,
Yeah.
you know, uh, well, I mean, Dusty and Cody would be pretty damn cool, wouldn't it? I
Oh,
mean, that
yeah.
that I mean, that is my
That'd be
all-time
something.
dream match. But
Yeah.
there's some guys even, around UPW and OVW guys like, I would love to, maybe one day, Pete and the Dev versus me and Billy, or me and Chucky, or you know, Jay De Niro and his son. You know, the
Oh
size.
yeah.
Billy's about the same size. Billy's a little taller than his son, but I think that could be a good match. We could mix it up there. There's a couple guys out there working that have sons old enough to do it. I think we could have some fun with that.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch. Yeah, you mentioning the Jay De Niro and his son one, that would be a great one. Definitely with the size comparison and everything like that.
And with his son is he's a flyer, man. He's a lucha style wrestler, so that'd be pretty entertaining, I think.
Yeah. For you, is it hard traveling from show to show, and what is like the worst or best thing in your opinion about traveling?
Um, it's not hard traveling to shows for me. I mean, I live in Marquette, Michigan, where there is going to be more travel involved for me to go to a show. I mean, my other than UPW shows, my shortest travel is 3 hours. So I'll break it down. It's 3 hours to Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. That's right across the border in the UP in Canada, where I'll go wrestle over there for Danny Duggan
Hmm.
or Dugan in CWE, and then Green Bay's 3 hours, Milwaukee's 5, Chicago's 6, Detroit's 6.5. So I mean, it's a day's drive to get anywhere for me, but it's always been that way. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what
Yeah.
I'm doing, when I played semi-pro football, I'd have to drive down to frickin' the middle of Wisconsin on a Saturday morning to play a football game, or when I was doing MMA, I lived in Indianapolis, and hell, I drove up 10 hours to Lakeview Arena to fight in front of my hometown crowd. So there's
Yeah.
always been travel involved for me. Doesn't bother me one bit. In fact, I would like to travel more. I would like to, I'm trying to increase the exposure a little bit, and I'd like to venture out into some other places, get down to Mexico and get out to California, and see what it would be like working some different styles.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Mexico and Japan, two different total styles and a lot of wrestlers' dreams to wrestle down in both them places.
Yeah, it's just Japan too. I consider myself a pretty stiff wrestler. I lay stuff in. And I think I could have some fun over in Japan. I did do MMA for like 7 years, so like I've been locked in a cage with another man my size who's wanting to take my head off or choke me out, and that's it's like you'll experience. Maybe you already do get some of it, Blake, from being around the crowds and the shows that you're at, but like whether it's MMA or pro wrestling or um, when they're in the palm of your hand and they're eating up everything you're doing and cheering for what you're doing, it's pretty addicting, you know.
Of course, yep. So, how did you get your wrestling nickname, the War Machine? How did that come about?
Well, when I came into UPW, I started doing these run-ins, and I didn't really have a name or a gimmick. I was just a big dude. I'd wear my tank tops, my sunglasses, and I'd come in and beat somebody up for Johnny Shane and leave. And the whole Sampson creation, I'll give flowers where they're due. The name and kind of the outline of what the original look was wanted to be was all Pete. So the Sampson name comes from the movie Half Baked. That's why it's spelled Sampson, not like the biblical Samson. There's no
Yeah.
relation or correlation to the biblical Samson there. And then the War Machine thing Pete came up with. It was the song that they first picked for my entrance music. I didn't love it. I didn't love the War Machine name just because, if you Google War Machine, there's going to be some pretty crappy stuff that pops up about an MMA fighter who was extremely abusive and I think went to prison and might be dead or something. I don't even know.
Oh.
So I tried to get away from that as soon as I could, and as soon as I was no longer working with Johnny Shane and being a bad guy, I kind of changed that moniker to the Ultimate Male. Because I am a huge Hulk Hogan fan, and I don't know if you've seen the Rocky movies, but when he played Thunder Lips in Rocky 3, he was the Ultimate Male. It was the Ultimate Male versus the Ultimate Meatball. And I feel when I get in the ring and I'm standing there 6'6", shoulders twice as wide as anybody else, arms twice as big as anybody else, like I am the Ultimate Male, and that's kind of
Yeah.
my take on it. Maybe not as much as a glitzy, glamorous. I don't wear the robe, but find another man that's going to beat my ass. I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I think both of the personas that you did there were great, and the one now that you're doing now is even better. So,
Well, thank you.
yeah. What about how did you come up with the catchphrase Samson Mania? Of course, you liked Hulk Hogan, and of course, growing up and everything. What made you want to use that as kind of like your catchphrase, basically?
Um, Again, just another ode to, in my opinion, the greatest professional wrestler of all time. He had to throw it out there. He called his fans the Hulkamaniacs, and it was Hulkamania. Well, I've got Samson Mania, and I've got the Samsonites. Samsonites. That's a little homage paying to one of my favorite movies, Dumb and Dumber. I don't know if you know the scene we're talking about, but he's trying to remember the lady's last name, and he's like, "Oh, I'm such an idiot. It's right here on the briefcase." Samsonite. Samsonite's a company of luxury briefcases that were really popular in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. You'd pay, 10 times for a Samsonite briefcase what you would for a regular one. So again, throwing things back to the things that I liked growing up. I figured it was a cool gimmick, and for the second Marquette Mania, or after Marquette Mania 1, I started having those shirts made, and just to have something fun. Mainly, I wanted them for myself to wear, so I had them made for the fans too.
Right. And then for the fans to show support out there in the crowd, so they're wearing something and everything like that.
You've been to the shows. They Samson
Oh
Mania
yeah.
runs wild when that music hits, when that
Oh.
bass line starts dropping. They know it's coming.
Oh yeah. The crowds go wild every time they hear your music. I mean, it's crazy. Definitely when it's in Michigan, because Michigan's basically your hometown, Marquette and everything, so
Yep,
it's even
yep,
better.
yep. Yeah, this one will be Marquette Mania is usually the night the biggest pop. It's like
Oh yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yep. So what is it like for you getting to do big shows like Marquette Mania every year in your hometown? What is like how does it feel to you?
Oh, it's an honor. It's an honor to be put up on that stage. I've worked really hard. I've worked really hard to get to where I am and to be able to perform at the level that I do perform with the amount of experience that I have. Um, so, it's greatly appreciated. It's deeply appreciated. To me, it's the people that see me putting in the work. They've seen it from match one to match now. They've seen the progress, and to me, it's a way of being rewarded for the work that I have put in. Because I work. This isn't. I'm not just a pro wrestler. Newsflash. Indie wrestling. It's like not usually the only thing you have to live on. So to put in the work that I do to go from last March at 355 pounds to this December down to 260 to back up for Marquette Mania now at 285 pounds tan jacked and fanny packed. That's not an easy thing to do at 43 years old when you've got multiple kids and you've got step kids and you coach youth wrestling and you work full time. It's I put it in. I put in the time. I put in the work. On top of that, I don't go to acting classes. I don't have promo classes. That's all stuff that I practice on my own and do the Roddy
Yeah.
Piper. Like Roddy Piper, he couldn't have been more correct. You got to stand in front of that mirror and you've got to see your face and you've got to see what it looks like when you're saying these things. You got to record yourself, and you can have all the coaches you really want, but if you're trying to get to where you're cutting promos that you can watch and not cringe at and feel comfortable in, you got to put that work in. You got to know what makes you feel good when you're cutting them. So it's
Yeah.
all a lot of practice and a lot of reps with every aspect of it.
Right. And like you mentioned, Roddy Piper, he was like one of the best talkers. So, I mean, on the mic, and yeah. So, how does it feel to be not just a wrestler in UPW, but also the producer and like all of the other stuff that you do within the company as well?
Oh man, that's great. It's great being involved on the business side of things. I've been a business owner in my lifetime, so I do have some navigational tools within myself for those sorts of things. I am an entrepreneur at Spirit. So being involved with that stuff is great. I help out where I can. I think I do a great job with a lot of the logistics and things like that around the UP and being able to contact people and talk to people in a certain way. That makes people want to help us as a promotion. You know, being on the operations team, we get that's where we set up the venues. That's where we talk about how the things are going to look, and that's what we're going to add to the sets, take away from the sets, keep using, buy more of, that sort of thing. And then also being a part of the booking team, which, um, I'll be honest. At first, when I was brought onto it, I was like, I don't like what am I doing here? I'm like I don't have a ton of ideas. I'm still learning so much, but I'm really grateful and thankful that I was brought on because now I do have ideas and I do start tapping into that creative side of things, and I do start coming up with things for my matches and other things and ideas for other things that are good ideas and end up getting used. So again, it's like I feel like it was just one of those things where it was just another opportunity for me to be put into a situation where I can learn. And I sat with my mouth shut and my ears open, and I learned and I learned, and now I'm at a point where you get comfortable pitching some things here and there,
Of
which is
course,
super
yeah.
important. Which is super important because when you're backstage and
Hmm.
you're going through your matches and stuff, like you want to be able to have input, you want to be able to have ideas that you're throwing out there, and not just be, deer in the headlights. So I'm just going to let you take it because you're the vet. They want your input too.
Hmm. Yeah. So have like a background of everything and know all of the things that is part of that.
Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah. And then you're also a trainer, you said, um for amateur wrestling, correct?
Yeah, I coach the local middle school here in Marquette, Bothwell Middle School. I'm the head wrestling coach. We have about 35 kids on the team. Had a lot of success this year, which I expected. I was an extremely successful wrestler at a high level as an amateur, and I just applied all the same principles and philosophies that I always knew would build a solid foundation for kids to learn, and also create an extremely positive environment for that to happen. Because you hear a lot about today's generation and the kids in today's generation, and I don't agree with it all the time. I believe that kids can still work hard and accomplish things and get things done. You know, it just maybe the processes look a little different these days. Maybe if you're going to be busting ass and working people like a dog, maybe they need to have a little bit of fun while they're doing it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with giving a water break when they're thirsty because you need water to stay hydrated. You know what I mean? And getting back to work. You don't have to. Doesn't always have to be this like browbeating. I'm going to try to make you tougher by being mean to you aspect. And that's how I've always approached my coaching, and I've always
Right.
had successful teams. I mean, even when I coach football teams, I would end up I would end up with teams that on paper you wouldn't think we're going to win a single game that year, and we'd win more than half. So.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all about the environment you create and making people believe that they can accomplish the things that you're asking them to accomplish. And that personal belief comes from
Yeah,
within.
of course. Yeah. And I bet them kids are glad to have you as a coach because of everything you do and stuff. So
I think so. They seem to be. It's I'm getting to the point now where some of the first kids I coached are starting to hit that 21, 22 year age, and you'll see people out and they come running up to say hi, and it's like you don't even recognize them because they were little kids. They're 12 or 13 years old, and they're like, "Hey, coach." I'm like, "Which one are you?" And then you can see it, then you recognize them, and you have a cool moment, and they thank you for
yeah,
this or that, or how much they learned, or whatever it may be. It's if I can make a positive impact in any way, that's all that matters.
of course. Yep. Out of all the wrestlers you've gotten to get into the ring with, who would you say are like the top two or three biggest names you've gotten to step in the ring with?
Hmm. Well, if we're talking straight biggest names that I've been in the ring with in a singles match, it would have to be Parker Boudreaux. I mean, he's got a pretty big name right now on the Indies, and with the big push that he had coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I think the next closest would be the guy with the most, big TV time would probably be Congo Kong. I think those would probably be the two biggest names as far as guys I've been in the ring with.
Right.
As far as national exposure. Now, I have recently been in the ring with some OVW talent, and I had some. Those were phenomenal matches to work in, for phenomenal people to work with, and probably some of my best experiences. Matt Winchester was a great experience
Oh
in the
yeah.
ring. Um, Hell, like my fourth singles match ever, third or fourth, someone out there might be able to correct me, was the main event at the first Marquette Mania again, and it was with Silas Young, and
Yep. That's correct.
that
Yeah, I was there.
that was number three. That was singles match number three. I had done a couple other battle royals and things like that, but that was singles match number three. And you want to talk about a consummate professional? I mean, Like, I had no business being in that position. I was completely thrown into the deep waters, and Silas definitely made sure I swam out of it. I think we had a
Oh, yeah.
pretty decent match. I don't think anybody that was there watching that match was thinking, "Oh my God, this guy has only been in the ring 3 times." I don't think it was noticeable, and that's all 100% on Silas.
Oh, yeah. Because I was there. That was actually my first ever UPW show that I attended, and that's where it all started. And then, I mean, yeah, your guys' match was incredible. I mean, I didn't even know that was your third match until now. And then now looking back at it in my head, seeing how you did in that match, it doesn't even seem like that was just your third match. So that's crazy to think.
Yeah, that was all Silas, man, walking me through it. Putting the match together and making sure we hit our spots.
Right. What does it mean to you to be holding the UPW World Heavyweight Championship?
This right here. This,
That's
this,
correct.
it
Yep,
means
that
it
thing.
means the world, man. It means the world. It means the world. It means that there's a company that believes enough in me that they want to put their biggest prize around my waist and put me out in the front and say that this is our guy. And it says that when you put the belt on someone, you're basically saying this is our guy and our guy's better than your guy, and let's find out. So
Hmm.
I take a lot of pride in it. I take it very, very seriously. It is the reason why I worked 3 shows with broken bones in my pelvis and in my hip and my femur. Because as the champion, you got to show up, you got to perform. Made it through those times, and my best work is ahead of me here because I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in as a professional wrestler. My mobility is the best it's ever been as a professional wrestler because even before that injury that basically shattered all that stuff that caused the surgery, my right hip was done and needed to be replaced. I had just been putting it off for a long time, getting cortisone shots and whatnot. So it hampered my mobility. It hampered a lot of the things that I was able to do. And as it gets better, I worked my first match little more than 4 weeks after the surgery, and you'll see me get more and more mobile, more and more explosive, be able to do more
Yeah.
and more even at my age.
Yeah. It's amazing. So, this Saturday at Marquette Mania 3, like we seen on the promo video, you will be going up against Choli Bercherelli in the main event for that title that you're holding right there, the UPW Heavyweight Championship. How are you preparing for that match, and what are you going to do different than any other time to win this and retain your championship in your hometown in front of fans?
Listen, Tully stuck his nose into my business when he never should have. So as far as what you're going to see different or what I'm going to be doing different is I've been in the gym every single day for hours, every single day, killing myself, getting ready for this battle. When that bell rings, I'm not letting him breathe. I said I was going to dog walk his ass, and I meant every single word of that, from pillar to post, bell to bell. I'm going to be all over him. And he's going to realize the next time somebody comes to him to do their dirty work, he's going to want to think very long and very hard if he thinks he's going to be man enough to step up and accept that. And it's going to go for anybody else afterwards. Anybody else that Judge Jesse tries talking to or thinks that he can get to or buy or anything. I'm making an example out of Tully on Saturday. I'm going to make an example out of him to make sure this collective thing is done. I'm making an example to the collective. I'm making an example to the UPW management. I'm making an example to the commissioner, Romeo Valentino, who has done nothing this entire time. The entire last year, they've done nothing but let the collective get involved with my matches. They've done nothing to stop any of it, match after match, which tells me that this right here means more to me than it does anybody in the company if they don't have the respect to get some security to keep the collective from continuing to interfere in my matches. So, that being said, you're going to see a different side of Sampson on Saturday night. You're going to see a very serious side of Sampson, one that will not allow any room for error or any room for Tully to breathe.
Well, there we go. We heard it here first. There we go. And what we expect and everything, so can't wait for that. So, also, to continue about this, on UPW, you've currently been having a lot of problems with the collective, also known as Judge Jesse. After getting done with Tully this Saturday, what are you going to do to get back on Judge Jesse? Are you having plans to possibly go one-on-one with him? Because, I mean, you haven't done that yet, and he's been always on your back now and just bugging you.
I'm ending them all on Saturday. If Jesse shows up and wants to show his face, if anybody wants to get involved, like I said, I am setting the example. I'm not spending the next year of my title run worrying about the collective interrupting every single match that I have. So as far as going in
Right.
the future, I mean, if Jesse can still walk after Saturday, if he can still walk and thinks that he wants to get into a ring and cash in that contract against me, if that's what he thinks is the best thing for him going forward, we can do it. We can do it anywhere. I mean, we can do it on the beach I'm sitting on right now, you know. So, but I don't think anyone, I don't think after Saturday that anybody is going to be in that frame of mind anymore where they're going to be trying to take what I have.
Yeah, they're all going to be scared of you, and yeah,
I've played way too nice for way too long.
right. Yeah, it's not no. There's no time for Mr. Nice Guy anymore.
Exactly.
So to mention about Sabu, a couple days ago we lost like a hardcore legend in the wrestling business and former UPW American champion, Sabu. What are your thoughts on Sabu in the ring, and is there an interaction memory that you have with him that you could share? If not, is there a memory moment that stands out to you from watching him wrestle ever?
Sabu was great. You know, I was first introduced to him in the ECW days. Um, always loved his matches. Always loved the stuff he did. I still like to do the chair throw in honor of him, and I felt very fortunate to be able to cross his paths when I was in Las Vegas. When you were out there, you know, I
Yeah,
was able to see him one night. Was able to go shake his hand, introduce myself. You know, thank him for all the entertaining memories and whatnot. It was very brief, but knowing that he just passed and how sad that is, I'm really glad I had that very brief moment to do that.
of course, yeah. And also, I also got to interact with him at WrestleCon in Las Vegas, and I think it was closer to the end of WrestleCon getting over, and he was walking, I think, out of the building, and he was walking out, and I walked by him, and I said, "Hi, Sabu," and he said, "Hi back." So just the small interaction that we had, I mean,
Right.
I basically met him, and it was pretty cool to now that was pretty cool. Remembering
Right.
that and just having that memory
Yeah, you'll never have that
for
opportunity again, and
this whole time. And
that's
I mean, it's
that's
crazy
why
to
they
think.
say that's why they say take the picture. You know, take the picture because you never know.
Yeah. Yep. And it's crazy that he just had his last match a couple weeks ago against Joey in a death match.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. It's like I say, you
mhm.
never know. You know, it's a lot of greats like that. You know, even not to get off topic, but it's like I'll never forget how the Warrior went out. You know,
Oh
he
yeah,
reconciles with the WWE. He's there at the pay-per-view. I think it was Mania or SummerSlam or something. Um, comes out on Monday Night Raw, tells a big speech about, you know, the legacy you leave behind, and that's what people remember. And the next day he drops dead. It's it's almost kind of fascinating at times that you know, the guys have their last matches or these last moments, and within days they're gone.
Yeah, it's crazy. Definitely about the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, I feel like he thought it might have been his almost end. Definitely because he came back for that one night and
Right.
said that, and then the next day. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I had to go back to my car here to get plugged in. I didn't want to die on you.
No worries. All right. You debuted also in UPW before your match with Peter B. You were a bodyguard for the current UPW manager Johnny Shane. What was it like getting to work with him?
Johnny Shane's a scumbag. It was Johnny Shane was my foot in the door. That's all that was. I was hired help. I got my foot in the door. Once I knew my foot was in the door far enough that I could go ahead and distance myself, which was before Marquette Mania 1. I made sure I made that move. They talk about dirty players in the game. He's one of them, and I couldn't be happier to have removed myself from providing him services.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. He's really annoying.
Yes.
At least he hasn't been at UPW lately because nobody wants to put up with him.
Right. He's been laying low, but I'm sure he's going to resurface at some point. Like
Yeah.
reptiles always do.
Yep. So you were actually on NBC News Watch 12 for the debut of We Love Wrestling. What was it like getting to be part of that? And then you got to chokeslam the news anchor. What was that like?
Yeah. I mean, that was cool. He probably shouldn't have questioned, how real the chokeslam was, and I wouldn't have chokeslammed him. But he wanted to make his jokes during the break. That was a cool thing. It was cool being on the news. I don't know if you remembered this segment, but I actually did the weather. I was the weatherman that night for the evening news, and I had never done the weather before. I had never been in a studio like that. But, it only took one take. I just went up in front of the screen, did the weather, in and out, easy peasy. So it was just let me know another one of the skills that I have that I didn't know that I had is live TV.
Right. One second. Sorry. All right. Do you feel like you are worthy enough to be part of a wrestling Hall of Fame, such as like the UPW Hall of Fame?
We'll see how the title run ends up, but I don't have the long tenured career some of the guys do with decades and decades of working in the business. But I would like to think that by the end of my time wrestling, that the impact that I made for UPW would be worthy of a Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah, I agree. Because we never know. You may be in there for more of a long time, and so then you definitely deserve it. And
Well, see, my goal, I want to be the longest reigning UPW champion ever. But the problem that I have with that is the guy that's got the current record held the belt while the whole world was closed for a couple years. So, he's got all these days. He's got all these days on there with no title defenses. Which it's it's like, do you really count that? I don't know. They do in the records book. So I've got about another 600 days or so to go to beat his record, I think.
I mean, you could do it. I believe in you. You could do it. So,
but I've definitely already had more defenses. I've definitely already had more title defenses.
Oh yeah, of course. Definitely, if he was holding it, what he would say during the COVID break and everything. So, would you rather be in a street fight or a death match?
Street fight.
Yeah.
Just
What about, would you
because
rather be in a blindfolded match?
I draw the line with rolling around in glass. I've paid a lot of money to have some really nice art put on my body, and
Yeah.
and I'm not even opposed to light tubes. I just think that if they're used in a match, they should mean something. That's all. So I like street fights. I'm not opposed to weapons. I'm not opposed to getting hit with things. I'm not opposed to bleeding. I just think that the term death match these days, really kind of falls into one category, and it's a bunch of light tubes and razor wire and hypodermic needles and stuff that's like kind of too far in my opinion. But that's my opinion. Everyone's got it. Everyone can have their own opinion. That's why there's so many flavors of wrestling. There's different flavors of wrestling fans, and so I'm not there to judge. That's just not my flavor.
Right. They really put death in death match. It's
Right,
like they're
right.
actually trying to kill each other here. I mean,
Yeah, trying to have some sort of accident where somebody bleeds out all over the place,
yep.
and then the champion will finally be crowned.
Right. That. What about, would you rather be in a blindfolded match, handcuffed to your opponent, or a dog collar?
Ooh. Well, I've always wanted to do a dog collar match. I think that would be super cool. But I've actually, in the days of amateur wrestling, we would practice with blindfolds on and have it where you had to keep contact with at least one with one hand on the other guy's hand. So that would kind of simulate being handcuffed. I think I think I would whoop somebody's ass in that situation because I've already practiced like that.
Right.
So to
So,
answer
you
your
have
question, what I would rather do, in terms of having a competitive edge, I think I would take the blindfold and the handcuff.
together, yeah. Definitely, since you have the background, and then you'll easily get the win over him because you have the background of it from your amateur wrestling days.
Correct.
I know we mentioned that you wanted to go to Mexico and Japan earlier, but is there some other places, like, of dream places you would like to wrestle other than, like, some of, like, the obvious ones? Is there, like, different places out of the world or countries?
Yeah, I would love to go to Australia. I think that would be
Yeah.
super cool. I know that their independent scene is getting bigger and bigger. I would love to wrestle in Hawaii. I think that would be pretty cool. And anywhere really. I would wrestle in any country that wanted to, bring me in to perform. I think would be super cool. I haven't ever really been to Europe. It'd be cool to try to find bookings over there somewhere. Australia, I've always wanted to go there because I know it's going to be warm and it's an island and there's the ocean right there. So that's kind of like a dream place anyways. But ever since you see how their independent scene has been growing, it's like, yeah, that might be a cool spot to get over to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like you said, anywhere would be awesome to work. I mean, overseas.
I really like the thought of Mexico. I really like because you just see these videos and there's like venues, these arenas are just packed. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what three letters are working. It's like there's lucha going on. The people come out and check it out. And those are some huge crowds, and I just think that would be so much fun to perform in front of crowds that size.
Oh yeah, of course. A lot of them are probably not even like fans that watch wrestling on the daily. They're because they probably get because it's Mexico is full of like lucha wrestling, so a lot of people probably
Right.
go there to watch stuff and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably where they get the big crowds from, just people swarming in to watch something, and
Right.
for the
Like the WWE's presence isn't even that big in Mexico because people don't really like the people in Mexico care about lucha, and it's like they follow those companies and yeah, I think you're 100% correct. It's like, I might not watch wrestling every day on TV, but it's a Wednesday night and at the local Coliseum they have some wrestling. We're going down there, drinking some beer and getting rowdy and watching it.
Yeah, but now that WWE is teamed up with AAA, I mean, now it's probably even bigger, going to be even bigger, and when they go to Mexico and all them places like that, because you never know with all the AAA wrestlers.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that, man. That's it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope Ricky Banderas shows up because I know he just worked our show in Vegas, so that would be pretty cool to see him.
Him and Super Beast, man.
Oh yeah, yep. Super Beast works for AAA.
Yeah, and I think he would fit in well.
Okay. Yeah, he would too. Yeah, and I know they have Alberto Del Rio's coming back.
Yep.
Yep. A lot of other great wrestlers. So who is like your favorite horror character and favorite horror movie if you have one?
Oh, that's easy, man. So growing up, it was Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger, but I recently decided. So that's not like my genre, I saw some of the Rob Zombie movies; those were cool. But Art the Clown. Art the Clown is. I freaking love those movies. I had no idea how much I would like those movies, but they make me laugh hysterically, and they're super gory, and it's just his mannerisms and his facial expressions, and it's Terrifier 3, this Christmas one. That was like, God, I was like, I don't know if I was like more laughing or more cringing, but either way, it was super entertaining. So, Art the Clown is my favorite horror character for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a fan of Chucky. I mean, yeah. What is generally your favorite music to listen to in your spare time?
So my favorite band is Motley Crue. Usually I'm listening to my music when I'm lifting. So, my lifting playlist will have anything from, a multitude of pro wrestling entrance songs to some Megadeth and Metallica to some Motley Crue to all the gangster rap that I used to like from the 90s, and, some Eminem. I don't put the old school country that I like to listen to on my workout playlist, but just about everything else is on there. Some of the '80s tunes that I like, the poppy stuff. I mean, I got Real American on there. I got Shawn Michaels music on there. The NWO stuff plays. Tarzan Boy plays. You got CM Punk, Cult of Personality. That's all stuff. The Rocky soundtrack is on there. If I'm just like cruising around, not working out, and just like driving, I'm usually listening to a podcast. That'll usually be, Jim Cornette. Hey Jim, Kevin Nash. I like the Undertaker stuff when he puts them out. I'll listen to Theo Vaughn. That's not a wrestling podcast, but Theo's a good one. But that's kind of my listening entertainment. I do like some good audio books. Also when I'm traveling and things like that. Maybe when I get on the plane, sometimes I throw the audio book on and put my head back and just listen to a book for a couple hours.
Right. Yeah. If a movie was made about your career, who would you want to play you?
Huh. Let me think about that. Probably Gerard Butler, but he'd have to get in shape like he was for 300.
Right. I don't know who that is, but you know.
Gerard Butler, you'd know if you look him up. Have you seen the movie 300?
Okay, there he is. Yep, now I see him. Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Plus, he's a damn good actor in my opinion. He could nail it pretty good,
Yeah.
especially the parts where I lose my shit.
If you got to choose the stipulation for your match, what stipulation would you choose?
For this match coming up,
Yeah.
if I could have it my way for this match against Tully Bertarelli, I would want a no rules, no disqualification match.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there should be a stipulation on this match. I mean, just it being like a normal one-on-one. I mean, you need to get all your payback and do it in a way that you can't get disqualified or anything.
Right, I mean, he hit me with a chair and ran like a chicken shit. You know,
That's right.
he didn't even give me a chance to like get up in the ring and confront him. He just smacks me with a chair and takes off running. You know, exactly. I need to be able to get my get back without getting disqualified for it.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? What has been the funniest thing a fan has said to you before?
The funniest thing a fan has said to me. One time there was a couple and the woman asked what the tattoo on my back was, and her husband said it's probably a tattoo of himself. That made me laugh a little bit. But I don't know. I think that's can't really think of anything that other than that really stands out too much. As far as funny, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not me on my back. It's a tattoo of He-Man, so it's close. It's close, but not quite. He's got blonde hair. I've got brown.
Right. I mean, just dye your hair blonde, and then there we go. We won't.
Maybe for the heel run, hey, go all blonde.
Yeah. Possibly. I mean, hey, it'd be a different look, and for a change, and from a face to a heel. I mean,
Yeah. Do the old superstar Billy Graham beard.
yeah. Which wrestler has given you the best advice and/or compliment?
Which wrestler? What was that?
Which wrestler has given you the best advice and/or compliment?
The best advice I've gotten from any wrestler, and it's been numerous times, and numerous pieces of advice, has been Jay De Niro. He's given me. He's also given me good compliments. The best compliment that I've ever heard, it was not given directly to me, but it was after our Vegas show. one of the guys ran into Super Beast the next day at the WrestleCon and just said, you know, how did your match go? What did you, you know, how did you feel working with Sampson? And he just said, man, your boy can work. That was a blast. So that made me feel pretty good. That's really all I've been looking for is working with high profile vets like that. And, you know,
Right.
we leave the ring and they're like, that dude can get it done. You know, to me, that's a win.
Of course. Yeah, you guys put on one heck of a match that night. And I mean, yeah, I think I seen him the next day at WrestleCon too. And I talked to both of them because they were both at the WrestleCon table. And I talked to them, not specifically about the match, but about the show in general and everything. Just mentioned and just talked and stuff. So, yeah. Out of every company, if there was one company that you could work for, like a dream company, but not WWE, because that's probably obvious in everyone's book, what company would it be?
OVW, that would be cool. I think it'd be a nice feather in the cap for OVW. You know, I feel like I put AEW probably in the same category as far as like me working there as like the WWE. That's probably pretty unrealistic. But OVW would be kind of cool. Just because of the history. I'm big on the history of pro wrestling and the guys that came through there. Working for the NWA, even though it's, you know, it's different now. It's not like the Ric Flair NWA, but working for those three letters, I think would be pretty cool, and would be super meaningful to me. Off the top of my head, those two for sure. I spent however many years as a high level amateur wrestler that was really good. I mean, you know, before I was 17, I had 2 world titles, and you know, I won 2 state titles in high school, and my junior and senior year, my combined record was 98 wins and 0 losses.
Oh wow!
Then you take that into the jiu-jitsu that I've done, where I'm actually undefeated in multiple jiu-jitsu tournaments, and you take that into the MMA that I've done. I would love to get on GCW Bloodsport.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I would go through those guys like butter. I mean, those guys are all good fighters and they've been trained and stuff, but they have never been on a mat with a mastodon, and that's what I am. You know, I am just too much for. I mean, you can't put a triangle on somebody whose arms you can't reach around. You know, so
Right.
That's kind of that's been a recent goal of mine, is trying to figure out how I can get on a Bloodsport show.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Now you saying that, yeah, that would be great because of your MMA background and everything like that. Yeah, I got to meet Josh Barnett at WrestleCon too, and he was pretty cool. So
Yeah. Most of those MMA guys are pretty nice guys. They're pretty humble because they don't have to act like assholes because they know what'll happen if it really goes down.
yeah. Would you rather join DX, NWO, APA, or BWO?
Oh gosh. There's only two real answers there, and it was the first two. Man, if I had if I had to choose between DX and NWO, I'd probably have to say DX. And here's why. Because they rolled up outside of WCW Monday Nitro on their Jeep with their megaphone, and nobody came out and confronted them. So that just tells me that they got way bigger balls.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
And And I absolutely loved D-Generation X. I mean, that was, I know I didn't list Sean or Hunter in the wrestlers that I talked about. I should have. They slipped my mind for whatever reason, but D-Generation X was probably, it was, as far as factions was, I had the most fun watching that. I thought they were absolutely hilarious and just great.
Of course, yeah. One of like the most historical or hysterical
Yes,
factions.
yes.
Well worth the Hall of Fame induction that they got for
Yes.
sure. And then NWO was kind of all scattered over, so you really didn't know what was what because they all had this faction for NWO, this faction, this version, and this version. I mean,
Right.
it was all scattered around, and it was kind of like I have no idea what, so.
Got very convoluted after a while.
Yeah. If you could have any band or singer perform your theme song, who would you want that to be?
My theme song is the Epic of Sampson. The band is 400 weeks or 4,000 weeks. It's on every platform. If I could have somebody perform my theme song live, I would want it to be them.
Right.
Yeah.
To make it more authentic.
Yep. And just, he came up with the song for me, so I'm big on giving people their flowers. So it's like, I gave you the ideas, and I kind of, gave them the direction I've been going for, and then he just kind of did the rest of it, and I think it's awesome. I love it. It's actually the ringtone on my phone. So yeah, if it was like, we want to have somebody play this, it would definitely be. I would want Mike and his band to come up and do it for sure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. What has been the most scariest or most dangerous incident in your wrestling career?
I don't think I've had anything too dangerous happen in my wrestling career. The scariest was my match at the Armory in Marquette when I took a body slam, and when I landed, I felt something tear. And it was like I felt something kind of tear in my abdomen and in my groin area. And it was like after coming off of my hip surgery, I was just like, man, are you kidding me? Turned out I didn't tear any muscles from the bone. I just tore a chunk of the muscle, and it healed. And there's a lot of bruising. It looked really ugly on my inner thigh for about a month and a half. I think there's still some bruising in there, but it doesn't hurt anymore or anything. But in that moment, when I landed and I felt that, and I know what a muscle feels like when it tears, I was just like, man, are you kidding me? I just came back from everything I came back from only to take a body slam that I've taken 100 times and have something just tear, So,
yeah.
But luckily, it wasn't anything too major.
Yeah, right. I could have gone way worse than what it did. So
Right.
At least you landed how you did and not just, If now in your career you got told you couldn't medically wrestle for the rest of your life, what would you do?
I would still wrestle. I mean, they're not. I mean, unless it was a promotion that was going to be like, oh, we want you to get cleared. I've gone against doctor's orders plenty of times in my life, and I'm still here kicking just fine.
Right. What are some of the wrestling championships and achievements you have won so far in your career other than the UPW Heavyweight Championship? Has there been any others?
There's been no other titles. Nope. That's the only one.
Wow. Well, I mean, I hope you get out there more and possibly start ruling out other companies and taking their titles too.
That's all it's going to take. They just got to give me the opportunity, let me get a foot in the door, and I'll do the rest. But that's the thing. I haven't had any. I have not gone and had any other title matches or any other title opportunities. That's kind of what I'm hoping. What I'm hoping comes out of this summer and this fall here is, get out there a little bit more, however that may be, and get some more of those opportunities. At least to come in and show that I'm a contender.
Of course, yeah. Who are 5 wrestlers you would put into the WWE Hall of Fame that are not in there yet that you think deserve it?
5 wrestlers not in the Hall of Fame that I think should be there. Man, now I got to think about who's all in the Hall of Fame.
Hold on.
The sound is
Okay, I got it now. Yeah, the sound
Okay.
switched off. Give me 1 second.
no worries. Take your time.
Do you know if Bam Bam Bigelow's in the Hall of Fame?
No, he's not. But there was some.
I would put. I would definitely put Bam Bam in there. I mean, I would put Bruiser Brody in. I know he wasn't. I know he was around in the WWF and WWF days, but he should be in there
Yeah.
if he's not. Gosh, I'm just trying to think of who isn't in there that I would like to see. Chris Jericho.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good.
So there's 3. Let me see. It's like you're trying to think, but it's like most of the guys are in there that I'm thinking. They'll never allow Owen to be part of that, but it would be cool to see Owen Hart.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is Mickey Jane in?
Mickey James?
Yeah, Mickey James. Is she in the Hall of Fame as a performer?
No, she's not.
She should be.
Yeah.
There's a solid 5.
There we go. Yeah. Good list. A name that I keep thinking that's way overdue in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, is definitely Cyndi Lauper.
Oh yeah, in the celebrity wing for sure.
Oh yeah. I'm glad that she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. So
Yeah.
at least there's one done, but she definitely deserves to get into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Yeah. What are 4 words you would describe your wrestling persona?
Stoic, intense, stoic, intense, powerful, and confident.
Right. What does your meal prep look like on a day of a wrestling show for you? Do you have like a certain meal prep that you do, or you don't eat, or anything?
I don't usually eat, depending on when the show starts. But our shows start usually at 7 p.m. So I try like 4 p.m. is like my cutoff for a meal. I don't want anything big and heavy sitting in my stomach all night. So that'll be kind of like the last meal. I try to have that in by 4 p.m. And that'll be like, a good amount of protein and a good amount of carbs. Kind of light, but also kind of fill me up at the same time, if that makes sense, because it's going to be hours
Right.
until I eat again. And then, throughout the night, I may munch on some beef sticks or some jerky or something like that. And then usually about 35 minutes or so before I think I'm going to go on, I will eat a double decker Little Debbie Oreo or oatmeal cream pie, because I'll get a nice blast of fast acting carbs, and it'll make me have a better pump also when I'm getting ready to, like, getting warmed up. And that's kind of like that burst of energy that I'll go out there with for the match to
Right.
ride me through it. I don't eat a ton of junk food and stuff like that, so I'll do it in those instances where I'm going to go instantly burn off the units of energy that it's putting in. But leading up to these last few weeks, it's just been a lot of protein, some complex carbs. I drink 4 raw eggs every morning as soon as I get out of bed. Lots of steak, lots of chicken. And then at nighttime, it's usually a big giant bowl of Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and some peaches.
Interesting. Yeah, I need to start eating healthy.
Yeah, you're at the age, bro. Start hitting the weights. We could talk. We could chat after. I can get you all set up on all that sort of thing. Workout
Okay,
plans,
yeah.
whatever. I'm down to help you. You know that. But yeah, you're getting at the age now. You start hitting the weights.
Yeah, because I'm starting not to fit into my suit.
Yeah.
And I have a workout room in my basement, and I told myself that I was going to work out, and I haven't yet. And I mean, I know I'm telling myself that this summer I'm going to start, and I also want to eat healthier. It's hard for me to eat lighter foods because I don't get full unless I eat it like kind of a lot. So it's kind of
Yes.
hard for me.
Yeah, there's tricks around all that. We'll chat. We'll chat this
All right.
weekend and stuff, and then I can put together a little program for you.
All right. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, what is your least and favorite theme song ever from wrestling history?
My favorite theme song of all time is Rick Derringer's Real American. And my least favorite theme song of all time, it was probably Gold Dust's or Men on a Mission.
Mm. Yeah. Definitely Men on a Mission. I mean, yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and tell your younger self something motivational towards being a wrestler, what would that be?
It would have been fuck college, go find a wrestling school.
All right.
That's just me. I firmly believe that had I done this at 17, 18 years old, been a fully trained pro wrestler by my early 20s, I just think that I think I would have worked. I think I would have had the chance to work at a lot of those places that we talked about tonight.
Right. Yep. Of course. If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Contents under pressure will explode.
Yeah. If you went for your finisher or signature and it didn't work, do you have a plan B to do it like right away after, or like a setup to do it at some point soon enough.
Yeah, yeah, I've got some ways to get back to it, or if they have some sort of counter or block to it the first time, I'll make sure I adjust on the second time.
Yeah, because that's probably better, because then you could win your match, and then
Right.
if you could wrestle or have a segment with any actor, who would that be?
Wrestle or have a segment with? Oh, this is easy. Sylvester Stallone.
Ooh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that would be great. Rocky.
Yep.
Now, we're gonna, if you don't mind, doing predictions of
Yeah.
each one of our predictions for Marquette Mania 3 this Saturday at Marquette, Michigan. If you guys are around, come and watch at the Lakeview Arena. It's going to be this Saturday at May 17th. Doors open at 4 for the meet and greet. The
The other doors open at 5:30.
Okay, yeah.
And
then
then
I think the pre-show's at 6:30.
Yes, the pre-show starts at 6:30 with the Mike Shaw Memorial Battle Royal.
Yep.
And then we'll go. Then we'll have a short break and introduction, and then we'll start the big show at 7 p.m.
Yeah. So if you guys are around, come and watch. It'll be a great show. The last two were incredible. So we're going to have some guests from the past that were at Marquette Mania that put on a great show, UPW Originals, and some big name guests like Ron Simmons, Jillian Hall, D'Lo Brown. Yep. And TNA, OVW stars. So, yeah.
Parker Boudreau's coming back, Madman Fulton, Big Con. I mean, we've got a whole array of guys that have been around and guys that are really fan favorites that are coming back to perform for us.
Yep. So the first match we'll predict is the D'Lo Brown and Ghetto Gear Solid versus the Society and a mystery partner. Who do you think is going to win that match?
Man, unless their mystery partner is JBL, I think I'm going to have to go with Ghetto Gear Solid.
Yeah.
And D'Lo Brown.
I mean, I don't know. I doubt that it's going to be JBL because he's going to be in Wisconsin that day.
Oh, so well, that's not too far.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, no, I think that's definitely, I'm not sure who they're going to have as their surprise guest, but Ghetto Gear Solid, D'Lo Brown, that's like the perfect 3-man tag. So I think they're gonna put in some work.
Yep, I agree. My prediction is Ghetto Gear and D'Lo are for the win, and my prediction for the mystery partner is the Dev. Even though he quit, I feel like he has something up his sleeve, and he's probably going to come back. And if he's at 100% and can do some things, I feel like he may come back and surprise the crowd and just show up.
Yeah, and I know that D'Lo Brown is one of the Dev's all-time favorite wrestlers. So,
oh well, that's something new I learned. So,
yeah,
that could be a big possible prediction there, or even Ron Simmons, possibly one time only. I mean,
yeah, you never know.
I don't know. So the next match is Parker Boudreau versus Big Con. We've seen Parker wrestle Joey Jett at the Armory for Salute to the Troops, and Con got on the big TV and he called out Parker for a match at Marquette Mania. So now they're having it. And what is your prediction on who's winning that?
Man, Parker's my boy. I gotta go with my boy Parker on that. We had a match once. We were going at it. He helped me fight off the collective. that's where he stands. He's on my side of the line. He's coming in, taking on Big Con, part of the collective. I think he's going to show everybody why he's the BFD.
Yeah, I agree. Parker Boudreaux is my pick of winning too because, he's just one great guy. And,
He's a beast.
I created a bond with him when we did our interview at the last show.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he's a beast. He's been to WWE, GLEAT, AAA, and he's just doing great things now. I feel like he could overcome Khan. So now Mike Shaw Battle Royale. I don't know how we're going to predict that, but
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just going to throw one out there and just say BJ Allen.
Yeah. Possibly. This is probably way out there, but Ron Simmons, if he's a mystery, because we seen Shark Boy come back last year for a one-off. So Ron Simmons could come back and just do a little something, throw out some people, and not do much. Kind of like the Steiners got back in the ring at the first Marquette Mania too, and didn't do much.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Ron's, you never know.
It would be if he shows up in the battle royal, I would be hard pressed to think someone's throwing him out. So,
yeah, we got Melvin Hayes versus a mystery opponent.
That's a tough one. Melvin's going into the Hall of Fame. He's got that induction that night. I think emotions will be running high. I think the adrenaline will be running high, and I don't think it's gonna make a difference who's in the ring with Melvin that night. I think he's gonna take that one. I think he's gonna be flying high off adrenaline and emotion, and I think he's getting the W that night.
I agree. Yeah. Because like you said, he's going into the UPW Hall of Fame that night. All of that is going to be getting to him and in this match. But for his mystery opponent, I can my prediction is probably maybe Corey Kerr possibly coming back, or Preston Stryker, because I heard that he's going to come back.
Okay.
Or even Fulton, because I know he doesn't have a match scheduled yet. So, so who knows?
Yeah. Those are all great guesses.
Yep. Now we have Facade versus TW3. Two greats in the ring.
Man, I got to go again. Maybe I'm a homer, but I got to go with the 80s, baby. TW3. He's my guy. He's been a great vet to me in the business. He's done some things for me that he never had to do for a green guy back in the day. Stuck his neck out for me. I'll never forget it. I'm going with T-Dub.
Yep. Well, my prediction is Facade, because from the times that I've seen him in the ring, he's good at what he does. I haven't seen TW3 that much besides in Las Vegas. I seen what he did. He was good in the ring, but I think Facade can get this over and possibly win.
Hey, man, Facade is a pro. The Neon Ninja, I'm not taking nothing away from Facade. He's awesome. I think really with that match, it's the fans who are going to win. But it'll go either way. It's going to be high impact, high flying, don't blink type of a match.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Jason versus Simbodi, which we have seen a couple times now. Or was it once in Las Vegas? Because they had their rivalry. they started their rivalry at the Armory after their tag team match,
Yep.
and then they happened to
Bodie
have their
won.
match in Las Vegas, and now they're going to go 1-on-1 again for I'm guessing it's a 2 out of 3 fall match.
This is a tough one for me to pick, but I think I'm gonna have to go with the old vet. I know they're both vets, but I think I'm gonna have to go with the bigger veteran here, and I think I'm gonna go with Sin Bodie.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Jason just because how Sin won last time. I feel like Jason might get revenge and win, and then they're going to have one more match and fight out and see who wins that last spot and see who gets a 2-over-1 on each other and
Right.
see who gets the bigger win streak against the other.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, if Jason does pull this off, it would only make sense to have a rubber match.
Yep. Or even a rematch that night and see who gets that.
Yeah.
Then we have a triple threat match for the UPW American Championship. We have BJ Allen versus Onyx Andrade versus Dan Jarrus.
This is a tough one too. This is a tough one for me to pick. I want to see BJ Allen win it. I want to see BJ Allen take that American title off Onyx.
Yeah.
But man, Onyx is tough. He knows his stuff. And we cannot count out the old dog Dan Jarrus. I mean, I have
Oh,
seen
yeah.
this guy do some things. We've only seen him a few times in UPW, but I've seen that man all over Canada, and he is a dog. I mean, don't let him fool you when he says he's the old dog. No, he is a dog, and I mean, hell, he might be taking our American title back to Canada. I mean, Dan Jarrus is that good. So
Yeah.
it's really a toss up.
Yep. I feel like Onyx might win over and possibly retain, but my actual prediction, my feeling is that Jan Jarrus might win him over and, like you said, bring the title to Canada and prove that he's got it and he can, for the couple times that he's been in UPW, and just he's great in the ring.
The guy
And
can
so-
work, man. That guy, he
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. So I feel like Dan Jarrus might win the title. Now for the second best match of the night, other from yours and Tully's, the main event, we have the women's fatal four-way match, which is going to be a banger because we already know Leela Hall is in it, and she had one of the best matches against who was it at
Sierra.
the Armory?
Yep, Sierra.
Sierra, yeah, that's correct.
And
She
Sierra
had
is one of the
best matches. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we have so the competitors are going to be Crystal White making her UPW debut versus Leela Hall versus UPW Women's Champion Zandra Lee versus Danny Moe, with special guest referee former WWE Divas Women's Champion Jillian Hall making a rare appearance and doing
Yes.
something in the ring. So I can't wait to see this. Who do you think is going to win?
Oh, man. Again, another tough one. Zandra Lee is absolutely phenomenal. She is an outstanding competitor. In my opinion, the best women's match we've had in the UPW was Danny Moe versus Zandra for that title.
Oh yeah.
And I think the second best women's match we've had in UPW was Leela versus Sierra. And you have 3 of those 4 women in that match. So it is going to be, I mean, it's got match of the night written all over it. I think
Oh yeah.
either Zandra retains or there's really only one woman I see that could win that match that's not Zandra Lee, and that's Danny Moe. So it's gonna either Zandra retains and takes that title back to Canada with her, or we crown a new women's champion. And I think, in my opinion, my guess, that would be Danny Moe. I mean, she's. I mean, I've said this on a few podcasts now. As far as women talent in the indies that's unsigned, I don't know of many better than Danny Moe. She's the top of the top. She's a consummate professional. She's a phenomenal performer in the ring. She's tough. She's charismatic. So I think if anybody is going to come out of that match, the winner, not named Zandra Lee, it's going to be Danny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to choose because we have 4 great competitors. I mean, Crystal White, I haven't seen wrestle before, but I've seen her at Blizzard Brawl one year, and she was valeting. I haven't seen her wrestle, but I know she's more of the valet type, so I don't know if she really will win the title at this point or at this time, but I know she's probably pretty good in the ring. But I feel like Leela Hall will probably come out on top of this because she's a newcomer.
Okay.
And she has been just going out there and showing up and showing out and just showing to the crowd and everything. Like in Vegas, she was there and she stated some things. I can't remember fully what she said, but she went out there and said some things, and so I feel like she might come out on top and win the title for a huge shocker.
Yeah, I mean that could, I think any woman in that match is capable.
Oh yeah, for sure. These will probably be match of the night, possibly. I mean,
yeah, it wouldn't hurt my feelings, tell you that.
And then we obviously have yours versus Tully's, which you're obviously going to win that match. I mean, there's no predicting that we need to do on your side because we obviously know who's winning it.
Yep.
So,
yep. With authority, showing with authority this time. I mean, I've tried to play nice, and I'm done playing nice. So, it's kind of like Rambo 2 when he's just trying to get out of the country and they kill his girlfriend. And he just goes back in and wipes everybody out. That's kind of the mentality that I have towards this is, you keep messing with my matches, you keep trying to take what I've worked for, and you're not trying to take it in the ring, you're not trying to take it in a match, you're not trying to take it within a set of rules or guidelines. You're trying to come out here and cheat and do these conniving things. So it's going to be like Rambo coming back in Rambo 2 and just wiping everybody out. He had that bow and arrow with the exploding tips, and he just started blowing people up. And that's going to be this right here. Just going to be blowing people up with my fist. So that's what's happening. I'm leaving with everything I came with, and the collective is going to be done.
Yep. All right. So to finish off with this interview, 2 more questions is, what is one thing you would tell your wrestling fans? Not Craig Backlund.
Yeah, that I appreciate all of them. That everything that I do in the ring is for the fans, and I appreciate them always being behind me, always supporting me. Supporting me through my injury, the well wishes, the get well soon letters, the signs. You know, the piles and piles of fan mail, you know, that all means a lot to me. I take all that in there with me, and when I'm in the ring and I'm in a match competing to keep my title, you know, I want to make those people proud. I do it for them. So I do it for the Samsonites and all the power of Sampson Mania that they give me.
Of course, yeah. And then for my last final question is what I ask everybody, obviously. Do you have any advice for me to become a wrestler?
Yes. Train, take your vitamins, say your prayers. No, I'm just kidding. That's what Hulk Hogan used to say.
Yeah.
Um, I would say focus on your school while you're in school. Have a backup plan. But if you want to be a pro wrestler, there's no it's never too early to start. Okay, so you have to learn some basic skills. And this again, Blake, we could talk about this off camera when I see you this weekend, and I can give you better advice on it. But start hitting the gym,
Right.
right? Like if you're gonna wrestle, you want to look like a wrestler. You want to look like you're a fighter. Get in the gym, right? That's first and foremost. Start building up your body. Now is the perfect time for that. You're at that age where your body's developing hormones and you're going to get naturally bigger and stronger. Use that to your advantage. Start hitting the weights a little bit. And then from there, you know, you have to train. So if you're not doing any sports now, find some sports that you might enjoy. Start building up your athletic ability because you need to be an athlete to do this. And between those two things right now at your age, building athletic ability and building up your body, that's where I would start number one. And obviously, you know, when after you take your shower and you're in the bathroom mirror, practice a promo or two. I'm sure you already do some of that stuff. When you have
Oh
these
yeah.
ideas, when you're thinking and you're like, oh, this would be a great line for something, write it down, save those things. But really, at your age, it's about the building blocks. So you need to start building a solid foundation. You know, basic things that we can go over, like I said, when we chat. And you know, I'm
Right.
always more than willing to have these talks with you when we're at the shows and whatnot. So I'll make sure we can have some time Saturday to do that as well. But you can do it. You love it. You have the passion for it. It's obviously what you think about most of the time, and that's the biggest thing right there is you're already in love with it.
Yeah.
So never lose that, and then just build yourself a roadmap, and I'll help you. You know, and other guys will too. You've got a ton of support from the boys, so we're all there for you.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah. I'll talk to you more about it this Saturday. And
Yep. Write down some
yeah.
questions. I'm serious. If you have any specific questions, write them down. We can talk then about some things, and we can start talking about some programming and some nutrition and things like that.
Yeah, I literally just actually wrote it down while we talked about it earlier to remind you uh,
Yep.
to remind myself to talk to you about it. So, yeah, I'll make up some questions for that, and we can talk about it. So,
Yeah, absolutely, Blake.
all right. Well, I thank you for taking this
Yeah.
time out to do this interview
Thank
and
you.
talking about Marquette Mania and your career and everything. So, um, anything else that you want to say about this upcoming Saturday?
Uh, if you haven't got tickets, get your tickets. It's gonna be one hell of a show. I can promise you that. From top to bottom, from the battle royal to the main event to the women's four-way to the tag match, it's gonna be nothing but bangers, family fun, entertainment. If you've never seen a pro wrestling show, if your kids have never been to a pro wrestling show, bring them. They will never forget their first one. You will never forget your first one. I mean, I remember my first one. Blake, you remember your first pro wrestling show you saw live. I guarantee it. You'll never forget that, no matter
Yep.
how many you see. It's a great one to come be a part of, and it's for a great cause. And it's the city of Marquette. We do it for you guys. We do it to entertain you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, definitely with the first two that I saw, he he said it all. You definitely want to come and check it out. So at the Lakeview Arena in Marquette, Michigan. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you again, and I hope you have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, Blake. Man, I will see you. When are you coming up? You coming up Friday or Saturday?
Friday.
All right, I will see you Friday, buddy.
Yep. See you Friday.
Safe travels. Tell your dad I said what's up.
All right. Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Later, Blake. Bye.